shout out to the Milwaukee Bucks for winning the second annual NBA Cup. Honestly, this game did not go in the way that I thought it was going to. At the very least, I thought it was going to be close, but the Oklahoma City Thunder had an atrocious Houston Rockets in Game 7 versus the Golden State Warriors type of three-point shooting performance, missing over like 20 shots or something around that mark. It was absolutely ridiculous. But not only was it a lot of missed shots, but there was a lot of good defense played by the Bucks, and I specifically want to highlight that because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, an MVP candidate who I currently have ranked 3rd in MVP voting, was basically a non-factor for a lot of this game. So there are a few reasons why Shai was such a null factor in this game. Obviously, there were shots that missed that could have gone in, but I also want to highlight the play of a lot of the Bucks role players, namely AJ Green, Andre Jackson Jr., and Pat Connaughton. All of these guys played incredible defense on Shai. Second, I also want to highlight the Bucks' help defense, and I'll go over the film with that in a second, but a lot of that goes to Brook Lopez, who I think could have been better, but Lopez also definitely had his moments, especially against a young, shifty guard like Shai, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, who of course is an amazing defender. So let's jump into the film and see what exactly the Milwaukee Bucks did and what Doc Rivers did to make them so effective and basically shut down Shai, putting the Milwaukee Bucks back on the map. So let's start off with talking about the Bucks drop coverage against Shai, in which the Thunder star had his most success. In this clip, we see Andre is not able to get over the screen and Lopez is just a little slow when it comes to stepping up. And then here in the third quarter, it is practically the exact same play. Again in the third, we see Hartenstein take Jackson out with his drag screen and Shai beats Lopez to the spot, and that's just too hard to defend. A quicker big or a smaller player would be able to better cut off Shai or just beat him to the rim. Now this is a good example of where Lopez actually stepped up a bit more, and Connaughton does a good job in fighting over the screen. Lillard, Trent Jr., and Giannis are all in the paint, forcing Shai into the mid-range shot. Later in the game, we see Brook step up a little bit higher, forcing a step back. The shot goes in, but a step back is always better than a layup. But now let's focus on what Milwaukee did super well, and that was their help defense and rotations. After the double pin down doesn't work, Hartenstein turns to Shai, who is going in on the backdoor cut. Lopez immediately gets over to him and Shai is forced into the tough midi. On this screen by Caruso, Pat Connaughton and Jackson Jr. switch, denying easy access for Alexander. Notice how Giannis and Portis are much quicker when it comes to filling the paint and forcing a jumper. On this drag and transition, Portis steps up much higher than Lopez would, again forcing the jump shot, and Pat is able to come in for the late contest. Here in the first, Shai gets the backdoor cut and Hartenstein gets a beautiful bounce pass, but Lopez is able to sink down and Alexander misses the pass in the confusion. And lastly here, Shai is able to get by on the closeout, but Prince and Giannis do a good job in getting in the paint and forcing the difficult shot. And now let's talk about Andre Jackson Jr. specifically and give him his flowers for the defensive effort. We've seen him in some of these plays before, but I want to highlight a few more specifically, such as this tough defense and good recovery on Shai's step back, or him managing to stay in front of him on the drive and notice how Connaughton rotated over, forcing the floater. And watch Jackson specifically on these plays that we looked at earlier. Of course, this was an off night for Alexander and the Thunder, a team that usually scores over 115 points per game and a guy who usually scores 31 points per night casually. There were shots that Shai and his team would usually hit that just didn't go in, but the Bucks defense also did a great job in rotating on him, forcing him to take tough shots and preventing him from getting to the line. Alexander only took half of his usual amount of free throws of 4 rather than 8 compared to the rest of the season. And while this tournament will not go in the win-loss column for the Milwaukee Bucks, to me it shows that this team can hang with the best, and it shows that this win streak is for real. Well guys, the Milwaukee Bucks win streak was definitely one that was a weak one. There were not a lot of strong opponents that they went up against, and the Thunder were really the team that they needed to beat to prove that they are them. They beat them on the national stage in a championship-like environment. If this doesn't give that team confidence, I don't know what will. But not just defeating, but dominating the Thunder with your two best players having a pretty good day against one of the best defenses we have ever seen gives me a ton of confidence in these Milwaukee Bucks. And if you want to hear me talk more about the Milwaukee Bucks, then check out the video right here. But that is it for this one, guys. If you like the video, you know what to do, and I will catch you all later.